Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So as you guys can see by the title of this video, this is going to be like another kind of like yearly wrap up video. I love doing these sort of things on my channel, as you can probably tell. When it comes to a new year, I get really excited for a new year and like a fresh clean slate. As you can see by this video, this is going to be 22 things I achieved in 2022. So if you guys have watched my achievements and goals video, a lot of this will be a double up, but there are some new things in here that I didn't feel like were achievements, but just kind of new things I experienced in 2022. So I obviously wanted to include it in a video, but it didn't quite go in that video, so I'm gonna put it in this video. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump into this video. So the first thing that I have written down is that I got involved with kids ministry at church. So I am part of the preschool team now that serve in my church. Serving at church has been really important to me. It is something that I haven't done before, but I knew that I wanted to get into a little bit more. It is a command from God to use the gifts that he has given us to serve him and his kingdom, and it is really crucial to be part of the body and serving the body as well. Kids, I feel like, is my area of expertise. I really enjoy being around all of the kids, hanging out with them, and it's been really cool this past year to teach them about God and to answer their questions and to watch them grow. The second thing that 2022 brought me was that I finally learned how to use chopsticks. Now, I did not grow up with a lot of exotic food. We just ate the very classic Kiwi meals, so my parents never really taught me how to use chopsticks. And being up here in Auckland, everyone seems to know how to use chopsticks, and I would always go out for dinner with people from church and we'd go to places that have chopsticks and they all know how to use them and I don't. So I finally learned this year. I got taught how to use chopsticks. I'm still kind of practicing a little bit, so I'm not the best. The next thing that 2022 brought me is that I went on a Lime scooter for the first time with my husband Phil. So Phil and I went to the city one day and just spent the afternoon riding one of these scooters. So basically, if you're not from New Zealand and you don't have these overseas, it's just one of those electric scooters where you scan the little barcode on your phone and then you can just ride. It's like through an app, and it was so much fun. I'd been wanting to do it for a really long time. Hawke's Bay, where I'm from, don't have them, so it was definitely a must while I have been living up here in Auckland. The fourth thing that 2022 brought me is the biggest thing that 2022 brought me, and that is that I got married. Now, it was one of the biggest goals that I had been working towards over the past year and a bit, and we finally were able to say I do on the 23rd of April 2022, and it was just such a beautiful day. Like, everything went smoothly, all of the planning paid off, and yeah, it was just so nice to be able to get to that milestone in life, spend a day celebrating God and his design for marriage, and celebrating Phil and I with all of our friends. The fifth thing that 2022 brought me is that I came off birth control. So I have talked about this in a previous video. I actually think I made a whole video on my birth control experience, so I'll leave that video down below and in the eye for you guys as well if you want to go and watch it and kind of hear a little bit more in depth about my reasons for coming off. But I came off at the start of April 2022. It was something I'd been thinking about doing for a while, and I am so glad that I did, because I definitely feel more myself. I feel more happy, and it's nice to kind of get my body nice and natural, nice and cleaned out. It definitely has been a very positive experience. Not like I was advised by any doctors or anything to come off. It was just a choice I chose to make. The sixth thing that 2022 brought me is that I moved flats. Again, I vlogged this entire process, but Phil and I moved from one side of Auckland to the other. I obviously moved in with my husband as well, so I moved in with him after we got married, and now we have a cute little place of our own that I am slowly organizing and doing up. Yeah, I absolutely love living here. It's in a really great location. The flat is really warm, it gets a lot of sun. The people that are upstairs, because we have like a little downstairs unit of someone's house, super duper lovely. The woman is actually Christian as well, which is really cool, which we had no idea when we moved in. So it's really cool how God works in that way. The seventh thing that 2022 brought me is that I got baptized. Again, I vlogged this experience as well. Again, it was a command from God that I wanted to follow. and just, yeah, have a public declaration that I am choosing to give my life to Christ and follow him and follow his will and plan for my life. And yeah, I definitely feel like it brought me closer to him, and I really wanted to go into marriage being baptized and my husband being baptized. So I got baptized the week before we got married on the Sunday. The next thing that 2022 brought me is that I traveled to Whangarei with my Bible study group. Now, I did vlog this as well because I had never been more north than Auckland ever before in my whole life. So I obviously wanted to vlog the experience, and it was quite fun. The weekend was very wet, but we still managed to go out and do a lot, and we managed to see quite a bit, and it was just a really nice weekend away, like a very chill winter rainy weekend away. The next thing that 2022 brought us was that Phil and I bought a new car. Now, this was not something we were planning. Our old one got written off. Phil was in an accident in it. He was okay, thank goodness. It was the other person's fault, not Phil's. Again, I vlogged not the process of us buying a new car, but I made a video on this new car that we bought, so I'll leave that video down below and in the eye for you guys as well. So now we have a car again, which is great because we need a car where we live in Auckland, because things are like a little bit further away and the public transport isn't the best around our area. Like, it's not bad, but it's not the best. Of our new car, it is a little bit more of a younger version, so it's a little bit more flash than our old car. We essentially bought the same model and like a pretty much the same color, but like a darker shade. The 10th thing that 2022 brought me is that I changed my job. So when I was job hunting, I actually got offered a job at Gucci as well in Auckland City. It was in stock, but they couldn't guarantee that I would have Sundays off, so I obviously turned it down, which was a big thing, and I was tossing up between the one that I currently have and this Gucci one because it was such a great opportunity, and for so long I was tossing up and down with what one do I take, but I ended up turning Gucci down, and I now work still in retail, which has actually been, I think it was the best move for me looking back at things. The hours were really good. I didn't have to work weekends. I don't have to work evenings as well, which is great. So I have like the time to myself in the evenings, and it was also a lot closer to home as well, which has been great. The next thing that 2022 brought me is that I finally cut my hair super short. So if you guys have been on my channel for a while, then you guys will have seen my short hair, but essentially my friend cut it to about here, which was a little bit shorter than we were anticipating, but in saying that, she admitted that it was probably a little bit shorter. But I'd been wanting to cut my hair short for quite a long time, like since before the wedding I'd been wanting to go short, but I grew my hair long for the wedding, and then after the wedding I chopped it off. So I think it was around like August that I chopped my hair, I think. And yeah, it's been really good. Obviously it's grown that much since then, which is crazy, but I'm absolutely loving the length of my hair at the moment. The next thing that 2022 brought me is kind of a little bit more of a negative thing, and that is that I finally got COVID. I had escaped COVID for like 3 years, and then I changed my job, and a week into my new job I came down with COVID. So again, I vlogged one of my days of my COVID isolation, so I will leave that video down below as well. I didn't actually get it very bad, like from memory I just had quite a bit of a headache, a little bit of a niggly throat, like it wasn't sore but it was just niggly, and my energy was just very up and down. But other than that, like overall it wasn't too bad of an experience, luckily. The next thing that 2022 brought me is that I watched 3 sets of friends get married, which obviously is great. I love weddings. So we had a wedding that we went to just after Phil and I got married, which was really cool. It was like a month after we got married, and then we had another wedding that we went to in October, which was in Hawke's Bay, and again that was really cool. That was some friends from church. And then in November we also went to another wedding, which was again some friends from church, but they were up here in Auckland this time. And yeah, it's just been really cool to go to so many weddings. The next thing I've kind of touched on, but the next thing 2022 brought me is that I traveled to Hawke's Bay multiple times. Again, some of it was to see friends, some of it was to go to weddings. A lot of it was to bring our stuff up that we had in storage in Hawke's Bay up to Auckland, because Phil and I used to live in Hawke's Bay, and it's also been nice to kind of go down and like see family and whatnot. And I do still love Hawke's Bay. I think it would just be a little bit slow if I was to live there, because I am quite a busy person and I felt like the town just wasn't keeping up with how busy I was. So that's why I love it up here in Auckland, because everyone's always hustle bustle, and I feel like I'm a little bit that way inclined. I don't think I will be traveling there as much this year, but I do want to go back a couple of times. The next thing that 2022 brought me, again, is something that's probably a little bit more on the sadder side, but I wanted to include it in this video because I don't want you guys to think that there hasn't been any struggles that I've had in 2022, because there have been. Phil's grandma passed away, so we went to her memorial, which again was in Hawke's Bay, so was another reason we travelled to Hawke's Bay. But it was nice being able to celebrate her life. She was a Christian as well, so it's always like a little bit, it's not like it's less sad when they're Christian, but I think you have more hope when they're Christian, and then be around so much family and yeah, kind of just be comforted. And I also got to meet a lot of Phil's side of the family as well that couldn't come to our wedding, so that was cool. But yeah, it was, yeah, not the most great experience, but it is something that happened. The next thing that happened in 2022 is that I finally went to Rainbow's End. So again, I went during Vlogmas. I vlogged the experience and it was so much fun. Like, I went with my husband Phil and I went with my best friend Rachel as well, and we went all together and it was such a fun day. My parents never took us to Rainbow's End, so yeah, I feel like I really missed out, and I really wanted to live out my childhood dreams, and it was so much fun. Like, I'm very much like an adrenaline junkie. Like, I love going on rides or like bungees or like all that kind of stuff. Like, I will do it all. I will do anything, basically. There is not much that actually scares me, so I'm always down for anything. The next thing that I wrote down is that I finally went to the international terminal at Auckland Airport. Now, I went twice. The first time was to drop my friend off and say goodbye to my friend, because one of my very close friends is currently in Canada, so she kind of just went to hang out with some friends and kind of go for, I think they're in winter, go for the winter. Obviously, I've never traveled overseas, so I haven't ever been inside the terminal, so it was really cool to be able to go inside, see what it was about. And then actually I've been 3 times, and then the second and third time was when I dropped my parents off and picked my parents up from their trip to Raro. So my parents and my sister over Christmas, like straight after Christmas, went to Rarotonga. Phil and I couldn't go for 2 reasons. Firstly, because pretty poor after the wedding, because that was the big thing we were saving towards. But then also because it is blackout period at our work, so we literally can't take any time off for all of December and half of January. So that sucks. So I couldn't go with my family, but I got to go to the airport and say goodbye and watch them come back as well, and that was definitely really cool. The next thing that 2022 brought me is that I finally paid off my credit card. So I have since put a couple things on, paid them off, put a couple things on, paid them off. I do want to actually close that credit card this year. The next thing that 2022 brought me is something that I did because I'm supporting my husband, and that is that I went to the Jordan Peterson conference in November. So Jordan Peterson, for those of you that don't know, is an author. He has 2 books out at the moment. He has the 12 Rules for Life and I think the 12 More Rules for Life. I don't know, I'm actually not too sure. It's not really my thing, but Phil loves his writing, so he wanted to go. So being a good wife, I went and I supported him. And we also went with his best friend from Hawke's Bay, who was his best man, because they both love Jordan Peterson. But yeah, it was interesting to hear what he has to say. Again, I don't quite think he is my cup of tea, but I went to that to support my husband. Right, and then we are almost there. So the 20th thing that 2022 brought me was that I did an amazing race with my Bible study group around Auckland. This was so much fun. So we did this over like an afternoon and evening. So we had like things we needed to do, like a checklist we needed to tick off. It was things like, you know, get 5 different leaves from the Auckland domain, take a photo with a stranger, take a photo with the Sky Tower in the background. We had to have like photographic evidence of everything, obviously. Like, take a photo with the boy on Dominion Road, like all of that kind of stuff. And it was just so much fun, and we ended the night at Duck Island, which is an ice cream shop in Ponsonby, and it was very competitive. Us and this other group, because we were split into teams of 3, we were like split into 3 teams, and us and this other team were like neck and neck the whole way. Like, we'd pull up to an intersection and one of us would be in the bus lane and the other one of us would be in the normal lane, and then we'd like race, and we were like running like very close together, and so like it was just so much fun. Then the next thing that 2022 brought me was that I got a promotion at work. This kind of came in the last few weeks of December, but basically I have now been offered a role in management at work, which is super duper exciting. It's something I'd kind of been working towards for a really long time and felt like I'd been ready for quite a long time. It's really nice to finally be in that role, have a little bit more responsibility. I'm really loving it so far. It definitely, yeah, there's a lot to do, but I think as long as I'm organized and I stay on top of things, I will be fine. So that's been really cool. Again, that is still in retail. The lucky last 22nd thing that 2022 brought me is that Phil and I hosted Christmas. So this was our first time hosting Christmas, and I had been wanting to host Christmas for so long, and it was so much fun. We had so much food left over as well, a lot of drinks. Everyone had a really good time, but my mum really enjoyed taking a year off, which was really cool. We had Phil, me, my mum, my dad, my 2 sisters, my sister's boyfriend, and then my stepmother and father-in-law as well. So there was quite a lot of us there, but it was, yeah, a really fun experience. We all had a really good time, and it was nice being able to just take that time to have a nice day with family. And it was nice to have everybody here as well, because my parents hadn't visited our flat before, so it was nice for them to come up and see it and just hang out for a little bit. So there we go, guys. That is my 2022 year wrap up. So obviously there was a lot of new things and a lot of, yeah, exciting things that happened in 2022. It was definitely the busiest year that I think I've had, so I'm really excited for a little bit more of a chill year this year. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Make sure to turn on the notifications and check out my social media. It's always linked down below in the description box. Let me know what is your favorite thing that you did in 2022, or if you can't do one specific thing, maybe do like 3 things as well. I'd love to know, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.